new year, we're going to start with our roll call. Yes.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to do the roll call. And also, I'm also going to we're going to play musical chairs. So, manja, as they say in the old country, but we want any of you chairs that are here to make sure that you sit at a table here with the CAB folks, because we want you guys to mix and mingle tonight. We're going to have an exercise with you guys to have a conversation. We're going to continue a conversation that the CAB had about you all when you were here, and how to interact with you. And so now that you are here, we're going to further that conversation. So that's why I want to have CAB and NAB people at each table. So you can self-select, okay? So roll call. Candace Jr., I saw you.
Yes.
Eric Adams.
Present.
Okay. David, Alexander, you get it yet? Okay. Luis, Emmanuel. Jessica Mitchell, both Brian Farrelly. Brian Farrelly and Jessica Miggs from Gilbert. Victoria Curdo. Monty Castaneda, there you are. Jonathan Soto or Harold Miller, Mayor's office. Jackie DeLeon. Okay. Monica Major, Megan Diaz, Borough President. Rosalind Joinville, Eugene Matthew, Councilman. Helen Foreman Hines. There you are, you're over there. Eileen Hartman Kunowski. Isaac, Mr. Itchy. Ron Sherman and Umar from Patricia James. Susie Tannenbaum. Randy King's office. Wayne King here. Representing the speaker, Jessica
Ackerman.
Thank you, I knew that. I was just testing you, Greg, and you passed. Greg Hambrooks, are you here? Gideon Duncan, Joe Gagliardo.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Pierre.
Speak up.
Lachey Young. Basmati Patel. Okay. Taj Burden. Victor Reyes. Tanika Robinson. Christian Rodriguez. There you are. Edwina Martin and Lisa Thompson from Debbie Rose. Dahlia Soto. Marilyn Mosley, Vice Ranger's Office. Robert Oliva, Ruben Gonzalez or Edwin Matthew from St. Francis. Derek Tate. Hillary Stuchin or Ariel Safransky from UJA. So, very good to count. Hold that thought. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, look at this. Linda Walters.
Present.
Alright, so that was 20. Okay. Peter Weiss.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being patient while we get the meeting started. We don't yet have a quorum, so we're going to switch up the agenda a little bit and circle back to the items that we need to vote on. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Good to see you. I hope everyone had a great holiday. I've spoken to some of you since the first of the year, and I know it's gotten a pretty busy for you already, so I wish you all a prosperous new year, and look forward to working with you as we continue to focus on the needs of the community. First off, why don't we just go into the presentation? Maybe we'll lead off with that. Is the Deputy Commissioner here? Present? Okay, she is. Didn't want to catch you off guard if you're here, but I think maybe we should start with that just, and then circle back to the agenda items. We want to welcome the new chairs of the NAB who are present here today. If you know, in previous meetings, we talked a lot about the collaboration between the CAB and the NABs, and really want to forge that relationship by inviting them to our quarterly meeting here and vice versa for us to be able to attend some of the meetings in their community. So for those newly elected NAB chair reps, if you are here, if you don't, I'd just like to acknowledge you, if you don't mind standing and just saying your name and what region you're from.
NAB President, Bronx 10.
Okay, just state your name.
Lourdes Peralta.
Okay, welcome, thank you for coming.
And Joanne Cavallari from Brooklyn 10.
Welcome.
Vacancies, Jones, and Hatton, I think 3. Justin Westbrook Lowry, Bronx District 9, NAB 9.
Okay.
Shirley Dorr, NAB 9 in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Rita Jones 3 and 4.
Rita Osma, NAB 5, please.
Welcome. Okay, let's just give them all a hand and, oh, we have one more. Too early, hold on, applause. Not yet. Yes, you can say your name?
Jermaine Mensa, NAB 16.
Great,
Peter Lisi, Staten Island 1.
great. Anyone else that's here that we did not acknowledge? Okay, now let's officially welcome them and give them a hand on their new elected positions. Thank you for coming. We certainly, I know we may be a little tight for space, but we certainly encourage those that sit in the back. If you'd like to sit up here, you're more than welcome to do so. So now I'm going to ask the Deputy Commissioner to come up and do her report, her presentation.
I think you're up for now.
Oh, do we? Oh, so we're good. All right, great. So back to the agenda. Great. So we have a quorum, so we can move on with our agenda.
Okay, just real quick, Janet from UPS, here, okay. And then Susie Tannenbaum from the Greensboro Press Office. Your quorum, thank you.
Okay. Thank you and welcome. So next up, the acceptance of the minutes from our previous meeting that was emailed and is in your packets. If you reviewed it, have no questions, I'll now entertain a motion to accept. Please just state your name for the record when you speak. Accept, motion by Isaac Heschel. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Joseph Pierre. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? There being none, so moved. Next up, in the way of board correspondence, motion to accept the election results of Rita Jones being elected to Region 2, NDA Blocks 3 and 4.
So moved.
Been properly moved by Joseph Pierre.
Second.
Second by Linda Walters. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstaining? There being none, so moved. Next up, in terms of the strategic plan and the strategic report, we've probably spent about 3 meetings on the strategic plan and report. We've done some effective exercises around that. And just so that we make sure we're on top of our P's and Q's and it's properly recorded, we want to make sure we accept not only the plan, but also the report. Looking back, we just wanted to do some due diligence to satisfy our records and the state records to make sure we officially accepted those reports. And we may have done it, but we want to go back and redo it again. So in terms of the strategic plan, the strategic report that we've discussed over the last 3 meetings. I'd like to entertain a motion now to accept it.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Joe C.
So moved.
So moved by, second by Joseph Pierre. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, there being none, so moved. Thank you for that. Next up, I'm going to ask Artis to come up and she's going to present our financial and quarterly report.
Good evening.
Mike.
My name is Artis Sandmogen. I'm the Senior Director for Budgets at the Department of Youth and Community Development. And I'm here to present a financial report on the Csbg funding. For folks who are new, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the budget. DYCD received $32.7 million that we have in our budget this year. Most of our funding is spent on program contracts. You'll see that we have about 7 or 8 categories in which we spend those funds. We've allocated $25.6 million to program contracts. We've allocated $2.1 million to other contractual services, and these categories support our program contracts. And DYCD spends $4.7 million of the allocation on DYCD staff. So for our program contracts, we have the Neighborhood Development Group, and nearly half of our funding goes towards, so welcome NAB folks tonight. We have an immigration refugee assistance, we spend nearly $600,000. Legal services, which we provide in conjunction with our sister agency, HRA, we allocate $2.1 million. The NICAL, Adult Literacy Program, receives nearly $2 million. Fatherhood, 2.8. Adolescent literacy, nearly $800,000, and SYP, 1.6. So that makes it $25.6 million, and that represents 79% of the award. I'll talk a little now about spending. This report includes spending data through January 2018. We should be at a spending rate of 58%, but currently overall we're at 36% of the program contracts. As I've said before, we're not really concerned. A lot of our providers are slow spending in the first couple of months of the year, but as the year progresses, we receive larger and larger invoices from our providers. The NDA group is spending at 34% at $5.3 million. Immigration refugee is spending at 21% at about $120,000. HRA is spending at 19%. The NICAL group is the highest, and they're spending at 41%. Fatherhood, which is the new RFP this year, is actually doing very well for a new RFP at 25%. The adolescent literacy is at 34%. And SYP, because the program starts and ends by September of every year, is spending at 92%. Our other contractual services, the bulk of which is in technical assistance contracts, is spending, as you can see, very less than 5%. A lot of the contracts there in the technical assistance category are being amended, and because it's in the registration process, providers don't submit invoices to us until the contract is registered. So they are spending, they just haven't submitted invoices to us. DYCD personal services were more than 50% of spending in that category. You might notice that in the program category areas, the payments are greater than the expenditures. And for some of you who already know this, but for people who are new, DYCD gives an advance to our providers for 2 months of the fiscal year. So at the start of the year, we give an advance so that people they have startup costs, they don't have money in hand, we give an advance. And as the year progresses, we recoup those advances. So at a certain time of the year, for now, for example, our payments will be greater than our expenditures. But the next time we have this meeting in June, you'll notice that the payments and expenditures are about equal. That's my report on the financial status of CSBG. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone has any questions regarding the quarterly financial report?
Motion received.
Okay, entertaining a motion now. Did I hear a motion before I entertain a motion? That was quick. Joe G, motion to accept. Second by Linda Walters. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? There being none, so moved. Thank you very much, artists, for that. Next up is the Deputy Commissioner's report.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Wow. Now this stuff is over, right? The cold is over, now it's springtime, right? Everybody's ready for that? I'm ready. I'm so ready. So the holidays are behind us, and this year we look forward to doing so many exciting things. And you've heard us talk about this in the strategic plan, and when we talked last time that we were together about what we were looking at for the future. So one of the things that we wanted to celebrate today was that the last time that we met, you talked about having, the CAB talked about having the NAB members here, and here they are. So today we're going to have an activity later on. We're going to have some more conversation about what you really wanted to know in terms of how do we interact, how do the two groups interact, but also what ideas we could come up together for better and strengthening that collaboration. On behalf of the commissioner, whose mission is to integrate this agency, not the agency internally, but also in the community. We thank you for your service, everybody that's here, but in particular those people who are new chairs, and I know you have work cut out ahead of you. One of the big things that we're going to be doing this year is the launch of the Ambassadors Program. And for those of you who don't know who that is, Joe can give you a little bit more information after I'm done. But it was one of the activities, one of the objectives that we had in the strategic plan. And he does it justice in the way that he describes it, so I'm going to let him do it. We have reported to the state on a bunch of reports in the last few months. And I want to let you know that one of them is the CSBG annual end of the year report, which you heard Mike give the presentation on. We sent that to the state. There's also the ZYCD annual report, which you'll find on our website. You can look and see and it talks about the NABs and the CNA and everything that we've done up until this time. In terms of the federal budget, Congress finally passed the continuing resolution to fund the government until February 8th. Now, we don't know much more than you do on this, but we will certainly keep you posted if anything happens as things happen. If there's any major developments on this. The city, I know the mayor's office and other people in the city are really interested in the CSBG funding and how it's going to continue. And so we will definitely keep you posted on that. Finally, we want to make sure that as we go on this year that we have continuing, not just this conversation between the NAB and the CAB, but as you know, or you may not know, that the NABs have had community conversations on the community needs assessment, right? And that basically means that they've gone out into the community, taken the data with them, and had some discussions with those communities. We are continuing those conversations now with the providers. So we're gonna be hosting meetings at every borough with the providers on this data, so that we could drill down on the data. We could first keep it fresh, but also we could get people's perceptions of what the data is. How does it act in their community? For example, if somebody said in one community, we need to have basic needs, we need to get those needs taken care of, and in another community they said the same thing, but they mean two different things to those two different communities. That's really what we want to find out. By drilling down on that data, we can then develop a new set of questions that is getting ready for the next community needs assessment, which happens on 2019, and then from that, that's where those RFPs will be formed from that community needs assessment from 2019. So we're going to be really busy, and that means that again we're so grateful for people to be here and to be here on time so that they could vote on these matters. But more than any other time in history, I'd say in my lifetime at least, that we need community participation like never, ever, ever before. You know that. You watch TV every day. So we thank you. We really appreciate you, and it's not just about you participating, but getting other people to participate. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Any questions? Yeah, round of applause. That's good. She's going to come back up to do the presentation so that a lot of what she talked about will tie into the exercise and so forth. So if there's any feedback that needs to be shared, you can certainly do it then. I'd entertain a motion now to accept the Deputy Commissioner's report. Commissioner's report. It's been properly moved by Joe Gagliello.
So moved.
Second by Joseph Pierre. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? There being none, so moved. Okay, next up will be the committee reports. So first up, we're going to start with the Governance Committee report. I'm going to lead off that report by saying we do have the slate open for the secretary position on the executive board. No one submitted their name yet. So if there is someone interested in that position, as this governance report is being dictated, you can certainly express your interest in the position. It's essentially taking the roll call and doing everything you saw Joe C. from DYCB do. So it's not a heavily intensive job, and it just requires attending one additional meeting than the meetings you currently attended. So I'd like to really stress having to be able to fill that position. So if there's anyone who's interested, it looks like we have one, that'd be great. In the meantime, I'll let Linda do her report.
Thank you, Greg, and good evening, everybody. Linda Walters. The committee met on January 10th, and the minutes are in the board package, page 10. Highlights of the meeting are the call for nominations for CAB secretary, as Greg just explained. The elections and vacancies, that's what I'm going to talk about now. There are presently 4 vacancies on the CAB. Representative for Region 16, NDA Queens, 1, 2, and 5, and the 3 NAB chairperson representatives. These vacancies will be filled by the next CAB meeting. A report was received on members who are term limit this year, sorry. As is customary, every January, community members have received a notice reminding them of their term limits. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Any questions on the report? Any questions on the vacancies at all? If not, I'll entertain a motion now to accept the governance report. Say your name, state your name again, I'm sorry.
Christian Rodriguez.
It's been properly moved. Second by Joseph Pierre. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, so moved. Next up, I'm going to have Tamika do the program committee report. Yeah, I had a little brain moment.
After I was about to say good morning, everyone. It's the afternoon and evening, rather. The committee met on January 3rd, and if you look in your program package, all the information will start on page 11. So as you see in the minutes, Assistant Commissioner Mike Bobbitt made a few remarks that included borough-wide meetings, which are being scheduled for program providers to further discuss the CNA findings. Assistant Commissioner Bobbitt then introduced the Director of Analytics, Astrid Spada, who made a PowerPoint presentation of the customer satisfaction survey results, which are included in the minutes as well. Some highlights are, the survey was conducted between May and August 17th of 2017, rather. The surveys were translated into 10 different languages and was made available online and on paper. There were 952 program participants, which is an increase from approximately 500 that were received last year. The highest number of responses came from seniors, and I think it's over 40% of the responses. High school, youth, and adult literacy. 93% of the respondents said that they were satisfied with the program services. And the committee at that time had suggested that there should be a targeted effort to have an equal amount of surveys from each program category, because we had noticed that there was a high amount of responses coming from a particular group, which happens to be seniors. So we thought that it would be encouraged to have an equal spectrum of responses. And that was really essentially what we discussed in the program committee. Does anybody have any questions? Speaker Robinson.
Okay, thank you, Tamika. So I entertain a motion now to accept the program committee report.
So moved.
State your name, please. It's been properly moved. Second by Linda Walters. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposing, abstaining, there being none, so moved. And last up, Ariel, who's our newly elected chair of the Strategic Partnership Committee and now part of the Executive Committee, will present her report.
Hi, I'm Ariel Sobransky. The Strategic Partnerships Committee met on January 8th, and the minutes can be found on page 38, which is the last page of the packet. Makes it easy. So a few highlights. You all received this brochure when you came in today, the NYC Ladders for Leaders program. So this is part of the Summer Youth Employment Program. The Ladders for Leaders program is a little bit more competitive, and students actually have to fill out applications and demonstrate some sort of academic achievement in order to be considered for this program. But ultimately, we're looking for some new sites to place students at for this summer. So in the past few years, the SYP program has really ramped up a lot. So a lot more students are now participating in this program, but that means that ultimately we need more sites to place these students at. So especially some of you in the private sector, it could be a really great partnership to volunteer to host students for the summer. So if anyone has any questions, you can definitely come to me and ask. And also on the back of the brochure is the contact information for Dulcie Andrade. And if you're interested in possibly participating, you can just email her. Also, another thing that that came up, you also all got a sheet when you walked in with vacancies on the NAB boards. So as you'll see, you either got the total list of vacancies or just for your area. Most of the boards are missing people. So it's a really important role for you guys as CAB members to work on recruitment for these boards. So I thought what might be helpful is just to give a little bit of background on the responsibilities of being an NAB member. So either Anita or Gian, if you guys want to just give like a 1-minute spiel on what the responsibilities are, that would be very helpful.
Well, the membership requires that you be at least 16 years old. At least 16 years old. Which is great because it's a great introduction to civics for younger people, and we are looking for youth members, more youth members I should say, because we already have a few youth members. You have to live within a neighborhood development area, so we do check the addresses. That's a requirement of the program. And you cannot be working for DYCD or have a spouse or someone in your household working for DYCD. So those are basically the requirements. The meetings there are every 3 months, every quarter. There's at least one regular meeting. When we do activities like the community needs assessment, the meetings are a little more regular than that. I know that we have members here who have been through more than one community needs assessment, and then also in the summer we do various street fairs and National Night Out and things like that. So we're going to be doing a lot of outreach, and with the Ambassador Project, we're also going to collect a lot more information on the community needs assessment. So that's basically what a neighborhood advisory board member does. There are 12 members on every board. 6 of them are appointed directly by DYCD, and the other 6 are appointed by elected officials from that neighborhood development area. So we're looking we're recruiting members all the time, and for the regional reps, I'm going to give you a list of the vacancies in your NDAs that your NABs that you're responsible for. Any questions? And for the, I don't have an idea right now. We have to have them self-identified, but we do have, we have it, one of the chairs of Bronx 9. It's a youth, it is very young. This is Justin Westbrook Lowery. He is the new chair for Neighborhood Advisory Board. So we do have a few, but not enough. We'd like to have at least 2 on each board, because what we like to do is have a focus on the youth contingent and bring youth ideas to how do we battle poverty, how do we alleviate poverty. So, you know, it's a different perspective. You can remember when you were a youth. I remember every day, every time I feel pain, I remember. When I was a youth, they didn't have those treats. But no, it's great to open it wider. So that's why we lowered the age to 16. Any other questions? No. So I'll be handing out these papers that have the regional reps list of vacancies. And if you need an application, you can always contact the office. We will send the application in. We need to get the, Ms. Carina, she's another youth representative. another youth chair from Manhattan. So, you know, it's an application. We need the original application with the original signature on the back. So it has to come to us either hand-delivered or snail mail, they call it. But otherwise, it's a pretty simple procedure, and of course, we work together as a community. We help all the time. So thank you very much. Anything else?
That's great. Thank you. Great, thank you. So get out there and start recruiting, and contact Anita or someone at DYCD if you have ideas or if you want to submit applications. I think that's it for the Strategic Partnerships Committee.
Okay, thank you, Ariel, thank you, Anita. Entertain a motion now to accept the Strategic Partnership Committee report. So moved, just state your name.
David Alexander.
Seconded by Tamika Robinson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, so moved. So now we're going to move into the presentation by the Deputy Commissioner. We talked a lot about the CAB and the NAB partnership. I'm excited to see a lot of the NAB chairs present here. This is extremely exciting, so we welcome you, and we hope this opens up a dialogue that gets everyone on the same page to be able to address some of the concerns on both sides of the fence, being able to fill vacancies and the challenges in filling vacancies, being able to address specific needs as we've been exposed to based on the report that the Deputy Commissioner has presented on numerous occasions, and just being an olive branch to be able to discuss things, to be able to address what's going on in different boroughs and different communities. And I hope this is the first of many meetings where the NABs and CAB members will be sitting together to be able to do this. So I'm very excited and again glad that you're able to attend. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Deputy Commissioner.
Well, I'll start with a fun fact. How's that? Yes?
Yes.
So Anita was talking about that she started, as a very young child doing this, and I really want to acknowledge Anita and all her work, amazing work. But I want to let you know that she kind of had a cheat sheet. Her mom's name is Evelina Antonetti, and you should, Evelisa Antonetti, and you should look this woman up because this woman was an amazing community organizer back in the day. And she was a household name up in the Bronx for all the communities, all the poor communities up there, just around getting people rallied up, organized, and doing something and contributing to their communities as assets. And between her and her family, or her young ones, they really did so much for the Bronx. And so I just, a big hand to and that's kind of what it takes. So it takes a lot of conversation and passion and caring about our communities. And I know that I'm preaching to the converted. But I know also that being a community organizer myself and having the same DNA in my blood as my mom was one of those same, was very much like Anita's mom and Dolores' side. I also know that this is very hard work sometimes and you can get very discouraged. And it is rooms like this that get us back pumped up and doing the things that we need to do about community, especially when it comes to community participation. I said before that there's no other time in my lifetime that I can remember that we need people talking, but not just talking. People must do. It must turn into action. So with that instruction, today what I want you to do is have a conversation at your tables. But this conversation is not just to discuss the same old problems that we keep discussing. I want you to come out of this discussion with some next steps, like how is the NAB and the CAB going to do something significant that would translate into some community benefit? That's really the conversation that I want you to have. The last conversation that you had is documented there in front of you. It has the little red letters there. And two of the things that the CAB came up with, which I thought were so important. One was that they wanted the CAB wanted to be aware of the challenges that the NABs face during their assessment and recruitment, during what happens in those communities, what's the pulse, what is the issue that's rising up for that particular community. So that's where we want you to start. Pick 1, 2, 3 questions from there and start to have that discussion with your group now.
Is there a time limit?
Oh,
on
and
this?
there's people that are sitting back there. If you would join us at a table, we need your voice at one of these tables.
Okay.
And there has to be, right? So who only has, only CAB, so do we, you got any NAB folks back there that could come up here?
Yeah, I just want to, is there a time limit on the Deputy Commissioner that you want?
Yes, I'll give that in a second.
Okay. Make sure they say that.
So you're gonna have a few minutes, 5 minutes for that first question or whatever you pick. And 5 minutes for the second question. Right, whatever question you pick. And then you will discuss next steps, and then you will report out.
We need another. Cheryl, she's the chairman of
Yeah, we do. I think we're alone, we're the only one.
Okay. If you're ready for your second question, you should be. Write down what was the aha from that first question you answered so that you can report back on it. So write it down, jot it down real quick. Oh yeah.
Is that my phone? We didn't write it down. Okay, so that could we have
What are the
You got about a minute.
Hold up.
Did everybody do the next steps? No? Oh, so take 2 minutes to do next steps. What are you gonna do with this idea? Did everybody hear me?
See, I would have
Everybody's like, the other one was
Okay. Let's get this stuff on the road. We want to hear from you. Let me have your attention. I need your ears right now. I love this stuff. Y'all just don't even know. I just gotta pick up for the year. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is that I ask you about your question, and I asked you about a second question, and actually, those questions were discussed in this room before. So, I get it, the problem, you can tell me it. But I don't want you to spend too much time on that, because we wanna go on to what's the thing that you wanna do that's gonna benefit that community. And it'll be somewhere between the explanation of what you discussed and your next steps, okay? So if you want, you can come up here to report, or I can come to you with the mic. What would you like? Come to me, of course. Okay, who's this group? Okay. This is a Bronx table. You say it now. This is the Bronx. Okay. This is the Bronx and Manhattan.
Hello, okay. What we spoke about.
I'm sorry, just state your name, just for the record.
Hello, I'm Justin Westbrook Lowry from Bronx, NAB 9. What we spoke about. I don't know.
Use your
Okay.
voice.
Well, I'm trying. What we spoke about was, for the very first question, it was asked, what are some of the benefits of the CAB and the NAB working together? And we thought that the second option out of the points, the CAB to relate to what takes place in the communities, attending community meetings, learning needs, will inform what the CAB does. So firsthand experience. That was what we thought worked best, and we thought that would be very helpful, and that inspired some of the ideas that we had for the third question, which is next steps. But in order to go chronologically in a way, for the next question, what are some strategies we could implement to make this happen? we said that monthly community board meetings should have a CAB member present. CAB members to attend NAB quarterly meetings, and mandatory attendance from CBOs to NAB meetings. We thought that that would be very helpful. And a second option that we kind of sort of chose for that section was having co-meetings, to have incentives to get people involved, stipends, metro cards, invite NAB chair to DAB meetings, because we need people to be able to come out, and there shouldn't be barriers to people being involved and coming out. So when it comes to our next steps, one of the things that we definitely wanted to look at was considering having regional and borough-wide CAB meetings, so that we can get the needs and the interests of the people in the local NABs and the CABs coordinated on a regional and borough-wide level, so that we know what our priorities are, so that when we have CAB meetings where all the different representatives are, we can lay out those priorities in a more coordinated and jointed way, and be more united as a group. We would like the district managers to put NABs on the agenda for the different community board meetings, and possibly even the different community board committee meetings for youth and education, things like that, so that, you know, they can discuss what they're working on. The community boards can then discuss what they'd like to do, and then there'd be more unity and parity there. And that seems to make sense. It doesn't make sense for, in a community, to have people operating in different silos and not having that communication and coordination there. And then we have two really quick things, to involve parents through their children, through the SYEP program. That would be something that would be very important, because a lot of kids get the summer jobs, but after they get the summer jobs, they don't necessarily get, their parents aren't involved, and that would be a tool that would be very useful, and that would be a good organizing tool as well. And then we wanted to see if we could try to work on trying to get more seniors out to these events by working with Assessor Ride. So that would be very helpful in getting more seniors involved in the process possibly. So we should try to explore those options. So thank you.
Okay.
10 minutes. 10 minutes of work. Is that crazy? I mean, the richness of these discussions is amazing. What we need for you to do is give us the people's names, also a contact number, so that if when we write the notes, we want to make sure we get them right. And if you can, really flesh those out, so that when we write your notes, we do you justice, because those were really well thought out, but I don't know if we'll get them from your notes, okay? That was perfect. Thank you so much. Your time?
Hello, my name is Lourdes Peralta. I'm president of District 10 in the Bronx. And our issue was communication. We have a language barrier. The Bengali people, they don't really understand us, and they're afraid to come to our meetings. So we need advertisement. We were thinking about maybe Bronx 12 can advertise, or we can go to our councilman, Annabelle Parma, or Ruben Diaz, Louis Sepulveda. Maybe they can come and join us as well. And if we had a CAB, that would be wonderful, because they can help us and help us with the assessment. What else did we speak about?
I have a suggestion too. A lot of the Brooklyn programs have somebody on their staff.
Yes, we do have someone that speaks Bengali. He's like our representative. He goes back to them and speaks to them. But we want to involve the people to come and join us in our meetings, so they can tell us what their needs are. But it's difficult because they don't understand English. Very difficult. I mean, we can hit the Spanish and the English, When it comes to the Bengali, we don't understand. And then we wanted some cultural sensitivity programs, demographic, right, a demographic shift, exactly. News on the radio, that'd be great. Right.
Like our district is considered Colchester, but we're really stretched out all down East Chester Road, all down. We have no one for that side. They don't know us and we don't know them. We need to open up and make sure the entire community is with us, not just Colchester. We have to spread our wings because it's not just one side, it's all of us. All for one and one for all. And that's the only way we're going to reach them, if we have everyone joining us together.
Just state your name for the record, the woman who just spoke.
Hortensia Mendez. Hortensia Mendez. DC 10.
So I need for you to put your contact number there, the names of your group, so that I can get back to you if we have a question. Give them a great big hand. You want to go next? Okay.
I just want to get it over with.
Hi, good evening. A lot of our ideas have already been discussed at length. I'm sorry, Colleen Hartman-Petnowski.
Can you say it again, please?
Colleen Hartman-Petnowski. I'm chair of NARI 7 and 8 in the Bronx. So one of the issues we had, we felt that vacancies must be filled, and that was an issue. Also, better communication. There are times when the CAB members somehow don't always get the information about the meeting. You know, I know we get mailings, but meetings change. Some of the NAB meetings, last minute, something happens. So we think one of the suggestions was to dedicate a date when the meetings might take place. In other words, third Thursday, if you're going to have a meeting, to try to have it on that date. So at least you don't have, you know, everyone's available, whether you're meeting that month or not. The other thing is that how we really want to stress how important having a CAB member in attendance at the NAB meeting really is, because we spoke about urgent issues such as housing and mental health, and that if the CAB member is at the meeting, they can take it back to this meeting, and really with their voice. And, you know, we thought that, that's where we discussed the communication. Also, I just wanted to say that community board members should be added on your list when you're looking for Bengali speakers and whatever. But in my area, we have, the NAB is basically filled with community board members, which is good, but I think we need a little new blood as well. And I think sometimes maybe issues don't get addressed because we're working on it in the board as well. So I think we really have to reach out a little further. It's not easy, but I think, you know, it would really be helpful to get more people. Also, I'm sorry, is there anything else that we have that?
No, in
Just state your name.
overall,
Name?
Christian Rodriguez, and I am looking at all the vacancies here in my neighborhood that we must fill, absolutely. But overall, communication is so important, and it has to be the only way that we can attend meeting and be together to identify their needs and pass information, period. Everything will, you know, everything he said. Thank you.
No, you forgot your next step. Your next step was that you were gonna have, she said, Ms. Patel said, you were gonna have a community meeting to brainstorm all the different ways that you can communicate with the community, get that in.
I got nervous.
Big hand for that.
Hello, my name is Peter. I'm the chair of Staten Island at NAB 1. And we have Louise here, who's a CAB for Assemblyman in Queens. And we have Wayne, who also is a CAB for Brooklyn number 9. We also have Shirley, who's an NAB number 9 chairwoman in Brooklyn. So we selected the question. The CAB will be aware of the challenges the NABs face on the ground during the assessment and recruitment And a lot of boards, we were in agreement, a lot of the boards say that the surveys were too long, they contained too many papers. Some people thought they were a little intrusive, the questions that were being asked, and some people were not comfortable answering some of the questions on the paper. So a suggestion was made to maybe possibly spruce that up, make it shorter, short, sweet, and to the point, and perhaps more people would participate and, want to do it. So we also, another suggestion from this table was to implement use of new technology for people to complete the surveys online, email, and I think there was some talk about computer and iPad, so that might be a little more incentive to get people to participate in these surveys, because I'm sure all the NABs have a problem getting people to take surveys. It's like asking somebody for can I have a dollar, can I have a dollar, people don't want to do it. So also another suggestion was to produce a giveaway, like a DYC pen, or like a squeeze toy. We see them in your office all the time, get them out in the streets. And maybe a bag to give to people that participate in the needs assessment. So I think that will attract more people to do that. So the second question that we selected was to have a co-meeting, have incentives to get people involved, stipends, metro cards, invite NAB chairs to CAB meetings. So it was suggested by people at this table to have like a quarterly newsletter, or maybe news blasts or information that we could forward to other people, and we could forward to our members, and they could forward, and so on and so forth. So I know you guys do that now, but I think a little bit more increasing of that would be a lot easier for us on the ground. So, and also to probably, I think that you guys are starting it, to have each NAB, members and chairs give updates on the programs and new ideas to the CAB, and I think that would be, a lot more participation. People would want to get involved. So that was a suggestion by this table.
Do we have a Twitter account for CAB? Should we? I don't see why not.
Thank you.
All right.
Sure, is it me? Of course it's you.
Okay. So, my name is Victoria Camarada-Curto, and I'm from Region 14. We've got Monty Constaneda. She's from Region 17 in Queens, and I'm from Brooklyn. We have Joanne Cavallari, who is the NAB chair from Brooklyn 10, which is Dyker Heights, which is adjacent to where I live. And then we have Valentina Jones. He's a great letter writer, and she's the NAB Manhattan 3 chair. And we sort of, whatever was said at the beginning, we had similar ideas. First, we started talking about how it's a benefit for us to get to know each other, but that there are challenges, especially when you are new as a chairwoman. We have two new, Valentina was telling us that she's a new chairwoman, she's only been there about a month or two, and that there are lots of questions that she has. And one of the things we can do is have these meetups so that we can discuss and brainstorm. It's important that the chairs have structure, have assistance when they need, and to have them recruit new members from the community. They need to know what the protocol is for holding the meetings and who to invite, who not to invite, almost like a dinner party. Should I put these people together?
We always think of
I'm thinking about it. All right, going back to, we should have dinner parties. Also, the needs assessment is a difficult part for Joanne, because she was talking about how hard it was to interview many of her constituents who speak Cantonese or who are illiterate, don't read. They have lots of issues, and they don't trust, someone coming over to them to ask questions. So she had a very few responses from her needs assessment. And then we also discussed the political appointments. How can we knock on their doors, finding solutions so that we can have more membership? They need to be held accountable, so we have to do something to meet them. So what are the tools So we're coming up next steps. We need to find tools so that we can bring new members in. We can do letter writing campaigns for some of the politicians who haven't responded or knock on their door. Community organizations, those organizations that are in our neighborhood, they have lots of members and membership. We can find someone there to come and help. Any other steps that I missed? Valentina?
Just one of the things that I'm new and I wanted to know, in my community, almost all of the politicians have a rep at the community board meeting, and anybody can speak during the public session. And so my curiosity, I know with most city agencies, you gotta dot your I's, cross your T's. So what can be said at those meetings and what flyers can be developed? That's what I don't understand. But otherwise, that would be like the perfect time to talk to the politicians is during the public session. So nothing special needs to be done. You just fill in the paper and go up there and express yourself. But I would want to know what was the what's the boundaries in terms of DYCD, in terms of what can and cannot be done, in terms of flyers or what you can say.
Okay. Thank you.
The trainings that we have for the.
Oh, the ambassador?
Yes, and for the chair.
Okay, yeah, so, okay.
Because I think one thing is what we do for the community, but it sounds like what you were talking about for the new chairs, what do we do for ourselves to strengthen? This table is focusing more on what do we do for ourselves to strengthen ourselves so that we can do all these things that we're saying we're gonna do. So can you answer to that?
Yeah, so we're gonna do, we realize there's a lot of training needs around lots of different issues. So as we move forward into this year, we're gonna be introducing lots of different training modules. At first thing, as you probably don't realize, when you had your initial meetings, when you all got elected, and you started talking about your local results of the CNA, remember, we talked about the ambassadors, now you're gonna go in and do the stuff that the Deputy Commissioner was talking about. So the next meeting you're gonna have, we actually are gonna do more of a formal training around that, and we're gonna give you a document and tell you how to use it, and how to collect data, the information, right? That's what we read. Okay? We're also gonna sort of, what do you call it, when you hyper-localize something in terms of the trainings, you should do them every once a quarter or whatever around the city. We're going to make them more local, directly to the boards and even individual trainings as well. And then we also had talked about something getting together chairs for trainings for new chairs and how to operate a board and how to operate a board as a chair.
Yes, I'm so happy.
And we have one more request, right?
Over here.
They're going number two.
Oh, okay. I started to go there.
Good evening. I have a mic over here, but not too much a fan of it. First and foremost, I would like to thank table number one. So great you did for everything we were doing here. You went over our points. Thank you. Justin, you're a future leader, a great leader right now too. Second, I would like to thank my team here who unanimously elected me to do this hard job. I really have asked to end my day any other way.
Just state your name. Just state your name, please.
Oh, my name is Anderson Ortiz, Neighborhood Advisory Board, number 2 from the Bronx. Two, yes. You see, one of the things about speaking almost last is that it's bad because you're like, oh wow, somebody's going to say some of the points that we already came up with, right? But when you're speaking up last, you can just say, Deputy Commissioner, as is, everybody spoke everything we were going to say.
I know you ain't finishing it like that.
No, so here we have a representative from Bronxville in Brooklyn, right? We have a representative from the new speaker of the City Council from Manhattan, and I'm from the Bronx. Now, some of the things that we came up with, right, when considering what are some of the benefits of the cabinet not working together, and it has to be with communication. There's an interest, it's to our best interest to continue to work together to make sure that there's exposure to the community of what we do as an organization, right? We want to make sure that we not only talk among ourselves, but we communicate with other form of agencies, organizations, local form of governments like the community boards, right? Perhaps I heard that there was some mixed feelings about the community boards and the NAV boards. But of course, at the end of the day, it's towards the benefits of the community. So we want to increase the communication with community boards, with the district managers, with the different committees. We want to make sure that those people who attend the community boards, which sometimes there are a lot of people that attend, 70s, 80s, can also understand what the NAV boards do as well. We want to establish a strong relationship. We want to be able to do joint recruitment events and make sure that there's more young people that can continue to come to these boards, join the boards, because they are indeed the future leaders of tomorrow, the young scholars. We want to collaborate with CBOs, but nothing politically oriented, no political oriented events. We want to have more interactive presentations. What does that mean? A lot of the youth sometimes don't join groups or don't go to meetings because they get bored, unfortunately. So we need to have some more interactive presentations that would captivate their attention, and they could definitely see a benefit right up from the start, and not have to wait until a long term to see how they can benefit themselves, not just for their future career, but also to help their communities. We also want to target student leadership in schools. There are a lot of youth and young scholars that want to get active before going to college, right? Obviously, colleges love young scholars that do community service, that are active in their communities. And a lot of the schools have a lot of student governments and also a lot of groups that are already interacting with the community. If we can possibly have some time, I know everybody works and have busy schedules, but perhaps do presentations within the schools and pitch to them how they can benefit from joining the neighborhood advisory board. Did I miss anything?
I think it was the other idea was we also talked about the possibility of partnering up with well-established businesses in the community. So one idea that we had in our board is we want to partner up with one of our local bookstores and host an event, maybe a recruitment event, or even host some of our meetings. So finding those businesses that have been long-standing in the community that not only have that relationship, but also are somewhere central where people can go, and it's not just a place of business, so now they can also go and get suppliers there, or they can go to an event there, or recruitment, or maybe host a meeting or an open town hall, or whatever it may be, but like reaching out to those kind of partnerships as well is important.
You want to tell us your name?
Oh, sorry, Farina, NAB 12.
I believe.
Last name?
Ciprian?
How do you spell it?
Ciprian.
Thank you.
And I think that
David Alexander.
I can't hear anything he's saying.
I'm David Alexander, CAB.
He needs the mic.
5 and 16. In addition to what my lovely friend here said, the CBOs, when they have events, the community-based organizations, when they have events, they can also use that event as a recruitment tool, so that they too can also get the information out to the need, the mission, and how to participate. So we don't want to just lock it up. We want everybody to be involved. So that would be another strategy of getting things done. And you also, I think it's been mentioned maybe several times, at the community board meetings, we do have representatives from the political arena that has seats that are available. We discussed at the table, and also you said it, to knock on doors if they don't respond when we present it at a community board meeting. Because this is, my experience has been that either they don't understand what the DYCD does, or they just don't bother to participate. So we have to continuously knock on their door.
and we have to continuously be in there. I know when they see me, they don't want to see me because of the ads. But this
Well,
is
you
the
guys
things that
make
we
them
have
want
to
to
do.
see you though. That's the thing. I think, you know, look. You know, we've been here. We've been here where people will say, well, you know what, that group doesn't want to see us, or that one, no, that doesn't cut it anymore. We gotta make people want to see us, because we have something interesting to say. If you go into meetings and they're a pain in the butt, yeah, they're not gonna want to see you. But when do you come with good news? When you come to say, I'm bringing a gift.
Yeah.
My presence here is a gift to you. When you go there with that mind of service, all of a sudden that dynamic will change, because people are so hungry for that right now. And it used to be a time that there was a reason to fight, right? Go to places to fight. That we are in a new space right now. We gotta go a different way. That was not working. You saw how many people on TV when they did the town halls were fighting with the congressman. They still passed the tax law. It made no difference. We gotta come a different way now, and we gotta do some different things.
I was gonna say, I think that, as she's saying, they want to hear from you, because this is, you're doing something in the community for youth and seniors, and this is another source. I was just at, yesterday, I think, my congressperson met with us to talk about the fact that they need us to advocate for things. So you're here and you're advocating for your community. And that's a good thing. And that's something that they all want you to do at this point because of what's coming out of Washington. They want you to get out there and advocate and get people interested and to understand that this is funding for our community. These are programs for our community. These are programs for our youth to do better the next generation. So yeah, you want to show up at the meeting, and the electeds need to show up too. But they need to kind of understand that. I'm on my community board, I've never heard this. I just happened to go because somebody said to me, let's go to a meeting, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm down. But other than that, I've never heard anything about DYCD at our meetings. So I think that we have that to bring. I feel like I'm doing something good for my community. That's how I feel about it. And I feel that, that's what we have to bring. That you have something to bring, that you are doing something positive for your community. And people actually want to hear that. And so do politicians. They want to hear that, especially with that tax law passed and what's supposed to be going. So, you're doing a good thing.
That's true, but it's a case-by-case basis.
It's true. You gotta do what you gotta do. If being nice not working, then you fight it. If fighting not working, then you gotta do something else. But you gotta do something that works. All right, so we got one more group.
So real quick, just I want to brag real quick. I want to brag. So Karina over here, stand up again, say Karina, hi. So she was an intern, a summer intern for us upstairs, and
I was a yearly intern.
a year. Oh my gosh, a long time. 2 years ago, how long ago?
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So now, but we watch her blossom into a community leader. I'm very proud of you. So yeah.
Hello, my name is Arita Kozma. I'm from the NAD number 5. We had two participants from the Bronx NAD, and we have Susie Tannenbaum from Manila Tax's office and Janet Dugosh from public sector. Thanks for the private sector. Thanks for the input. To the first question on the benefits of the CAB and NAD working together, we selected the answer. The CAB will be aware of the challenges the NAB face on the ground during the assessment and recruitment, and on the house, and a couple of the points covered. We are going to second things that were covered by table 4. Thank you. We wanted to we wanted the NABs to participate to the CAB meetings and make sure they know of the challenges we had with the assessments. One of the things we wanted to let them know is that we had less participation over the summer to the needs assessment, probably because it was the summer. One of the other things was that we wanted to be able to have participants fill out the assessments online. We actually put all the links that the DYCD had available. We put them on little sheets and we spread them out to the neighborhood. But also having maybe 1 or 2 iPads in the NAB available for people who wanted to fill them out on the ground in an electronic form. That would make it a lot easier. And last but not least, of course, rewards to the people that fill out maybe some freebies for the people who fill out the needs assessment, considering they did complain indeed that they are a little too long. And on the second question about the strategies we can implement to make this happen, we selected to have co-meetings and participate for the NAB to participate to the monthly community board meetings. We wanted to get the NAB members more involved with the CAB by attending these meetings, share the information that we have, and also to encourage the NAB members to potentially become CAB members. Again, incentives were mentioned if they can share with the people that participate in the needs assessment.
Thank you. Give them a hand, please. So if you have, please make sure that you have your group members' names on that and contact numbers so that we can get the notes right. We're gonna get all this information right, and then we will have it at the next meeting, or we'll see what we need to do with it, because we probably don't want to wait 3 months for the information to get back to you. So it'll be emailed back. If there are corrections, you send back your corrections, and then we're gonna do something with some of these ideas. This was amazing. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a hand. Back to you.
So really quick, while we still have quorum here, we have to vote for the secretary position. Rita Jones put her name in the hat for the position. Just want to make sure real quick, there isn't any other CAB member that wanted to put their name in the slate for the secretary position. Okay, if not, and just a reminder, I know everyone knows this goes for just CAB members only. I know there are NAB members here. But we can do a consensus vote for Rita Jones to be instituted as the secretary on the executive CAB committee. So I entertain a motion now to accept her as the new secretary. David Alexander moved. Second by Linda Walters. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Those opposing? Those abstaining? There being none, so moved. Let's get Rita Jones, who has to leave. Thank you, Rita. And it will be effective the next committee meeting, the next executive committee meeting. So just a couple of things real quick. It's been a long meeting. I know people have to go. And this part of the meeting, that's part of the meeting, by the way. You don't want to hear me, talk board business. This is about certain board business, but the meat and potatoes of this board is what just took place. So you guys should all give yourselves a hand for what just took place. So real quick, a couple of points of acknowledgement and new business. First, we do have here present from the New York State Department of State 2 representatives here that have been present the entire meeting, so I wanted to give them an opportunity to acknowledge them. We have Becky Parsons here, as well as Amy Kolar. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you could just, they're sitting in the back there, if you could just stand and be acknowledged. We thank you for being here. Is there anything that you want to say to the board while you're here? Anything, any remarks?
Just very briefly, I just want to say thank you for having us. We come out and monitor your agency every year. I'm not sure if this is on or not, or how this works, but and we do this on a quarterly basis. Now, we get to look at a lot of the paperwork and make sure that all the federal requirements are being met, because there's a lot of paperwork. We actually look at your CNA, we look at all your survey results, we look at your board meetings, we look at your individual files. So know that, you know, what you're doing is important, but it's great to see actual community work. And that's something that we don't get to see as we sit in the Albany office. We just look at all your paperwork and requirements, which it's well done, by the way. But it's great to see what the actual funding was really meant for. So the war on poverty continues, and it's just really inspiring. It's just inspiring to see you guys and what you've come up with tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate that, and thanks for attending our meeting. So is there any old business we need to discuss? I just need everyone to know it's getting late. Just keep it down just a few more minutes while we close the meeting out. Is there any old business we need to discuss? Okay, no old business. So a couple of points on new business. I think this was passed around already. It's that time of year where the poverty symposium is taking place. So it'll be March 14th in Troy, New York. Flyers on the desk, registration information is on the back, contact info is there, so if you're interested in going, and they are going to have a bus. I'm sorry, Joe?
They registered through us, not from the director.
Oh, okay, got it. So, my apologies, registered through DYCD, they're going to have a bus. Remember, they charter a bus to go there, so if you're going to confirm going, we need you to go. We don't need a lot of people to register to go and confirm riding on the bus, and then we don't get the attendance on the bus. And if you've been to the Poverty Symposium previously, I've attended in the past, you know how effective and what a great day that is. So register through DYCD, confirm with Anita or Joe or Jan that you're going to be attending, and they'll take care of all of that other information. As has been spoken before as well, the Ladder for Leaders pamphlets are here. SYEP is going to be in full swing. We all know how effective this is. I'm putting a little challenge out there. Really dig into your networks. Employers you know, private sector companies, public sector companies that may not be exposed and know about SYEP or Ladders for Leaders, please talk to them. Let DYCD and the people that oversee the SYEP program do a heavy lifting. Just get us the information, get us the employers, the people that can employ these young people and give them a real working experience. We need to, the applications keep rising, so we need more employers to be able to meet that need. And the last thing is committee meetings. I didn't get to talk about this when we were doing the committee reports. I'm happy that we have more people that committed to the various committees that are listed there, but we need your participation for the committee meetings. A lot of information that is talked about at the meeting is kind of born out of the committee meetings. So if you have chosen a committee, please, I encourage you to attend. You can call in, so that is the one committee group, you know, the CAB meeting, we need you here in person, but you can call in to a committee meeting. We know everybody's schedule is crazy, but committee meetings last anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Some are quick, some are a little bit more lengthy. But when Anita sends out the email, there is information, a conference call number, extension, and so forth. So if you can't make it here physically for the committee meeting, please call in so you can get all the information. And I think that's it. Any other new business? Anything else I missed? There's some exciting things happening. I know people may have left. You know, we've always given CAB members the opportunity to talk about events and things that's taking place in their communities. If you're not prepared to discuss it at this meeting, that's fine. You can always give us the information. Monica Major, who we all know is representing the Bronx, or Ruben Diaz's office. There's a couple of exciting events coming up in her area. So if you have other stuff that's happening please give us information, that's stuff that we want to share with the entire CAB, even if you're not part of that borough, it's good to support, you know, fellow community members in your borough. You may get some ideas of some activities and events you may want to schedule in your borough as well. So if you got stuff that you'd like us to share, please send that to us and we'll be happy to do that. With that said, I know this is the part you guys are waiting for. Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. All right, we'll move by Ms. Patel. Second by Tamika Robinson. You guys are usually quick to do this motion, so you want to stay. This meeting's been that good. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.